Welcome back to the original Roadhouse from 1989. Here we see the owner of the Roadhouse walking in, Tilghman, played by Kevin Tiggy. And now we are inside this club as Tilghman is just walking around and we see the band playing at the front and we see some girls smoking and having fun. And now we see the side profile of the protagonist, Dalton, played by Patrick Swayze. And now we see some trouble. One of the guys kicks a girl. Funny stuff there. And now he's restrained by some of the other bouncers. Says he's sorry. And now he wants to challenge Dalton. Tells him, let's take it outside. And now it's 2 against 1. And yeah, it's always better to walk away since these guys are losers. And now back inside the club and everyone is clapping and cheering and having fun with the band over here. And inside the bathroom, Dalton takes care of the cut he got in the shoulder by that bum and comes in Tilghman, who is a club owner himself, as he introduces himself and places his business card with the double Deuce written on it, which is the Roadhouse of this movie, and offers Dalton a job at his club somewhere else. I think in Missouri. And Tilghman is willing to pay him his asked amount, as well as being the head bouncer of his club. Tilghman takes out a plane ticket for him, and he doesn't believe in flying planes. I mean, yeah, he's got a point there. Too many plane crashes these days. And here comes in the guy, Oscar, the manager of this club, as Dalton tells him he's quitting. Now Oscar's pissed off, and as Tilghman mentions this.
You know, I thought you'd be bigger.
Length, girth, and vitality.
Well, that's insulting, and I mean, certain people can pull off being tall. You could still be ugly and tall and a bum. Tilghman really don't matter there. So the next scene, Dalton's back at home and tosses the keys over here to this guy and tells him that he can keep his car, since he has another better car stored in the parking lot, which he's going to take to his new job at the Double Deuce, or known as the Roadhouse. I don't think the word Roadhouse has ever been mentioned once in this movie. And now he's here in Jasper, Missouri. I was right, according to Google. As he walks out and sees these bikers are catcalling Dalton, finally directed by Rowdy Harrington. And inside we see the band playing in some okay time. And we see Cody up there, the blind band lead member, singing, played by Jeff Healey. And Dalton notices a lot of inadequacies and of what is wrong in the Double Deuce. And we see this girl, Denise, checking out Dalton.
You say you and me get nipple to nipple.
Funny stuff, saying things like that can get you kicked out of the club. And a girl behind Dalton, Carrie Ann, who is probably the girlfriend of the bouncer right now, Morgan, that was just here, and tells him not to worry about him. And now she asks him his name and tells her, and actually she's a server here at the Double Deuce. And now we see Tilghman himself and the Double Deuce owner as he sees his walls are full of marker graffiti and does enjoy himself here. So the Double Deuce is poorly held, it's not clean, no manager anywhere, and the bouncers suck, especially the customers. Throwing a bottle at the handicapped band singer, who's blind, Cody, and again with the same line.
Yeah, and I thought you'd be bigger. Dalton, now you're doing it. Good to see you.
So Dalton knows the lead singer, Cody, and yeah, he is blind. I mentioned that twice already. And back to looking around, and now another song, and everyone knows that the new guy here is Dalton. And we see some funny jokes, which I can't play, so watch it on your own, and I'll skip that. And now this guy likes the girl's boobs, doesn't have $20, so the pimp pushes him away, and now this group of guys and this group fight starts, as Tilghman is now alerted by the noise as we see more destruction as well as Dalton being called up. So the night is done, Dalton's ready to leave as Morgan over here doesn't like Dalton and says bye to Cody and Morgan, wanting some info about his new bouncer.
Opinions vary.
So now we're at the Big T auto sales. The next day as Dalton's here looking around and buys a new car in front of him, and now he gets some tires at this auto body shop and now into the woods as he looks around for a room to rent since he's starting off new. As Dalton looks around the room, he opens the window and we see this helicopter flying by, and inside it is this movie's villain, Brad Wesley, played by Ben Gazzara or Gazzara. A known actor if you've seen a lot of the older movies from the 70s or before that. So now he's being landed onto his estate. Now the farmer over here is always pissed to see Brad Wesley, and now the farmer can now trust Dalton, and yeah, his name's Emmett, and will charge him $100 a month as rent, which many wish that was their rent today in 2025 that they were paying. So back at the Double Deuce, Tilghman has a new plan for the Double Deuce and will have a new look to it, and puts Dalton as a new manager / head bouncer. And the first thing Dalton does is fire Morgan.
There's always barber college.
And he also fires a girl that was selling the drugs earlier to those customers, and gives one final warning to the other guys to confess to whatever they're hiding. And now gives all these guys, the current bouncers, 3 simple steps of keeping the Double Deuce professional, with some jokes and questions being asked.
I wonder if somebody calls my mama. Is she?
And now it's showtime as this guy who's doing his job properly notices that the girls are paying with a Sears credit card, which probably doesn't have any money left on it. And the simp steps in to tell them they can't get in for free. And now that's a problem that Dalton notices. One reason why clubs are dead today. And with Dalton asking for more coffee, he notices another problem. The cashier not putting the money in the register, but in his pocket. Or the bartender. Now this girl stands on the table, and another simp is letting her stand there dancing, and the bouncer is telling the customer nicely to tell her to come off, and we see a problem. So Dalton allows him to be violent with the customer, and everyone is happy that Dalton stepped in, and now Denise is here again. And now in the next scene we see the bouncer who let the 2 girls in for free, him banging one of them. I'll skip that, and Dalton walks in to tell him that he's fired. And now he's firing the bartender / cashier for stealing drinks and taking cash from the register. So Dalton is done for the night and is ready to go home and see that his car has been destroyed. Now we see a nudie party happening in Brad Wesley's across the lake as Dalton notices it, relaxing at his rented room. And we see this 7-foot-tall guy dancing, and we see Brad Wesley himself with Denise, the same girl from the last 2 nights. She's everywhere with no life. So the next morning we see Dalton at a home, waking up by Carrie Ann's voice. Looks like she knows where he lives. And she brought him breakfast and sees his bare ass, and now his breakfast looks half-eaten. And now we see Brad Wesley again driving his red car, listening to the famous song Shaboom. And Dalton is driving out of nowhere, and he notices that Brad Wesley is probably drunk driving. And yeah, he is drunk driving. Now Dalton has had Red's auto parts, and here comes out Red himself, played by Red West. He orders Dalton his car parts, as well as introducing each other, and now how long he'll be staying in Jasper, and that's what Red said too. And that's what Red said too when he first came here. And here comes in Brad Wesley again, as well as his bodyguard. Finally meets Dalton, and Red tells him that Dalton is the one cleaning the Double Deuce. Back at the farm, Emmett notices Dalton's Mercedes, as well as seeing him doing Tai Chi or something else. Even Brad Wesley notices Dalton. So now it's back to work with the new club look with the band playing, and now Dalton walks in to see that the same bartender is back for his job with a lawyer behind, telling Dalton that the liquor for the Double Deuce is usually supplied by Brad Wesley, and yeah, he is Brad Wesley's nephew too. The bartender he just fired, so he whips out the knife to trigger Dalton, and we see a fight between the 4 guys. And yeah, the fat ass does cut Dalton on the side, and now he walks to the hospital as he's in the emergency room, and his Dr. Elizabeth Clay, played by Kelly Lynch, walks in to treat it. As she sees the medical folder and lists all his past injuries, as Dalton says he's been to college with a degree in philosophy. And now he's done and offers Dr. Clay coffee at the Double Deuce sometime, and again with this line.
You know, for that line of work, I thought you'd be bigger.
Yet again with the insecure line. 3rd time already. And the next day we see the same 3 guys along with some other guys driving into Brad West's estate, including his nephew. And Brad is pissed off that his nephew doesn't have the job anymore and makes one of them apologize. Brad believes the chubby guy's apology, but the tall guy's apology is not believable, and he apologizes continuously and hits him too, and tells the guys to get rid of the tall one. So back at Red's Auto Parts, and we see two of Brad Wesley's guys driving off when Dalton drove up, and walks in and sees that slightly trashed, as well as Red cleaning up with sees he's been robbed, and also notices Dr. Clay's picture on the board there. Now Dalton is pissed off that Brad Wesley is everywhere, and Red tells him that he founded the Jasper Community Association, where all the local businesses are owned by the association, i.e. him, Brad Wesley, and that everyone has to pay him an amount to stay in business. So now we're at the wet t-shirt contest here, and I'll skip that, and we also see Wade Garrett himself, mentioned by Dalton earlier, played by Sam Elliott. We see a bunch of war guys enjoying the wet t-shirt contest, and one of them tries to grab a stripper, and yeah, he's a bouncer too, just like Dalton, Wade Garrett.
Hey Rambo, I know you want to save the world from the commies, but you're going to have to do it from down here, man.
And now he gets a call from Dalton as Wade asks him about his new bouncer job at the club in Jasper, Missouri, as well as asking about if he knows anything about a Brad Wesley. But he doesn't know, and Wade will see Dalton later. Now back at the Double Deuce, and now you know what inspired the Roadhouse Remakes logo right there. Same color and font. You know, the new one from 2024. Check on my previous video if you haven't yet. And Carrie Ann is signing up, or Carrie Ann is singing up there, and Denise is here again, and offered Dalton some fun.
I said let's go to my place and...
So the head bodyguard steps in and grabs Denise and takes her out, and we see some more of Brad Wesley's guys towards the club, and here they come in. Looks like you watched From Russia with Love. And now a fight breaks in as we see Dr. Clay walking in as well, and Carrie Ann is just so drunk and excited as well as Dr. Clay looks worried. And now they're done as he sees Elizabeth Clay there, and now at Bonnie's grill as Dalton and Dr. Clay, or Elizabeth Clay, are having a late night breakfast, and now the two leave and pay for the sleepy customer's food.
Tonight's rent.
And now Dalton is being driven back to a Double Deuce, and now the two kiss, and now he gets off as he takes out the stop sign jammed into his car window. And back at the farm as the same two guys come up again as Dalton is enjoying his day off. And now Brad Wesley's estate, and now we see Denise again with a bruise on her head, and see Brad Wesley again enjoying breakfast, and tells his life story to Dalton after the Korean War, or was he dispatched in Korea, I don't know. And now Brad Wesley tells Dalton that he has a cousin in Memphis, that he knows that Dalton has killed a guy, and Brad is willing to offer Dalton all the money in the world to come work for him, but he walks out. And back to the Double Deuce, so many customers are here, and now walks inside to see that everything's going well, and grabs coffee with the new bartender there, Ernie, played by Keith David, with Tilghman greeting all of the customers, and we also know already that Brad Wesley is the one that supplies the liquor, and they're running low already. And he tells Tilghman that Brad Wesley is a problem, and walks back out. And outside is Elizabeth Clay waiting with two of Wesley's guys watching as Clay drives towards Dalton's rented room. And he takes her inside and looks out the window, and she stares at Brad Wesley's estate, and to distract her, Dalton turns on the radio. And now he reveals to her that he saw something, and now a 2-minute sex scene, and now some more nudie scenes as Dalton is outside naked, smoking, and now some more sex. As Brad Wesley's watching live. Remember when Dr. Clay was mentioning that she was once married? Maybe that ex-husband is Brad Wesley. And before Dalton goes to work, he helps Emmett first, and now back to work, and now the Double Deuce is looking like a restaurant now. Okay. Wow, you want a club, but you got a restaurant now. And now Dalton goes up to see and talks to Cody as he tells him that Dr. Clay was involved with Brad Wesley in the past, and now the bouncer is calling him, and here comes and sees the Double Deuce.
The Double Deuce.
And now a truck with more liquor is here as Brad Wesley's guys are out back now. And now fight scenes is alerted with Dalton showing off his skills. And here comes Wade Garrett inside walking for Dalton, or asking for Dalton, and is redirected to the back. As well as Morgan is back too. Looks like he works for Brad Wesley as well. And Wade joins in on the fight.
I ain't gonna show you my dick.
And now everyone knows that's Wade Garrett. Next scene we see Dalton driving Wade to the Jasper Community Hospital to meet Elizabeth Clay. Now back to Double Deuce with some more stories about Wade's scar, as well as now wanting to go somewhere else as he's now dancing with Elizabeth. And now she walks away, and now back to Wade talking to Dalton again about Elizabeth Clay, and she is somehow, and he knows she is somehow still married to Brad Wesley, since talking about innocence.
That girl never told you she was married.
And back at the Double Deuce with the band playing, and now Bear comes running to tell Dalton that Red's shop is on fire and run outside to see that it's all blown up, and luckily Red is still alive. And inside the Double Deuce, Brad Wesley's back and wants to hear some music as everyone watches Denise dancing on stage, and now she's stripping and now she's done. Jimmy, Wesley's head bodyguard, walks in with a stick, and now a full-on fighting between the Double Deuce's bouncers and Jimmy, as well as fighting Wade Garrett. And now Dalton steps into play. Well, that's done. Now back at Red's house, everyone is trying to know how to get back Red's business as they're discussing about insurance and all that stuff.
But you got insurance, don't you?
And even Tilghman is there to tell Dalton that he's scared off Jimmy, and Brad Wesley off well. But he's going to come back for more. And now at this guy's car dealership, what's his name? Straudermeyer, whatever his name is, who was at Red's house. It's his dealership, as Brad Wesley's guys are also there to destroy his business, returning against Brad Wesley.
You got insurance, don't you?
Or plotting against Brad Wesley with Red, whatever his last name is. Now back at the farm, Dalton is training with Wade Garrett, trying to sneak up on him, and Wade is ready to give up and wants Dalton to come up with him and doesn't care. And now Dalton is so pissed off that he almost tried to punch Wade and he leaves. Now back at Brad Wesley's estate, as with Dalton watching it from across with Elizabeth back, trying to tell him that Brad Wesley is dangerous and that he should stay away. And now the farmer, Emmett's house, has been blown up as Dalton rescues him on time. With Brad Wesley watching the entire show, we see Jimmy again riding out on his bike, and we see Dalton running after him. Yeah, he set up the fire at Emmett's house and stops and fights him as revenge. With this die-hard kind of background music. And back to fighting as Dalton injures the leg, but Jimmy takes out his gun and is ready to shoot Dalton and kills him just on time. Now Elizabeth walks away in disgust, or in a disgusting way that she's disgusted, as Dalton is yelling for Wesley. Okay, so next day Dalton has no choice but to use his Mercedes and drives back to work and walks in, and now the phone is ringing as Brad Wesley calls in and gives him two choices. You either want Wade Garrett alive or Elizabeth Clay alive, as he, tosses a coin. And here walks in Wade Garrett. Looks like he got beaten up by Brad Wesley's guys and pretends that he's given up. Dalton pretends he gives up on Brad Wesley for now. And now back at the hospital and to find Dr. Elizabeth Clay and tells her to come run away with him, but she disagrees. And why would she run away with you? Still married to him. And now Dalton is back at the Double Deuce's back entrance, only to see.
I said one beer, senor.
Wade Garrett has been killed and now walks out in anger and drives off. And now we see the final 10 minutes of the movie as Brad Wesley's nephew, Morgan, the former bouncer, as well as the other bodyguards are there and see Dalton's driving and shoot the car. Only to see that Dalton is not in there, just a knife pushed onto the accelerator. And now the guard's looking everywhere and see that Morgan is dead, and this guard is looking everywhere else too, and here comes out from behind Dalton.
Tails again.
Now it's looking like Beverly Hills Cop here, now with the ending, and from the top of the stairs. We see Brad Wesley's nephew again shooting, and Dalton throws a knife at him now. And here comes out Brad Wesley, and that leaves just the fat one and Brad. And now with this polar bear statue coming on to the fat one, and Brad Wesley knows he's in the room, and Brad killed Wade as revenge for Dalton killing Jimmy. Okay, makes sense why he did that.
You made for each other.
But Brad has done far worse in other areas. And now comes out Dalton, and now fight between Dalton and Wesley, and kicks him in the knee, and is about to do the same thing he did to Jimmy. Here comes out Elizabeth Clay, as well as Red, Stratemeyer, Emmett, and Tilghman, all shooting Brad Wesley by taking turns. Now the cops have been alerted and running in.
You see anything, Tinker?
And back at the Double Deuce, as everyone is at peace, and Dalton enjoying his time with Elizabeth Clay. And she is probably still married to Brad Wesley. You don't know. Marriage is a paper thing. And that's it, guys. Roadhouse 1989. Better than the new one from last year, that's for sure. A lot of similarities. You probably noticed I didn't outline it this time. I did outline in my previous video. If you haven't, check it out. There's a sequel to this movie which came out in 2006, Roadhouse 2, a direct-to-DVD movie which I've never seen. Doesn't look interesting. I probably will never watch it. I don't know. Too many movies to watch, too much to do in life. Sometimes I get distracted by many different things. That's it for me, guys. Meet me next time in an episode of The Terminator from 1984. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Share the video. Take care. See you soon and watch away. And